What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now here we have the infamous Breville Oracle. Now we have featured Breville a couple of times on the channel, but this time I really want to push the limits of these, well, inferior machines. And I know that's going to upset a few people, but when it comes to a machine that's $2,000 or more, depending on where you are, this really isn't good value for money. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you've ever pulled apart a coffee machine that is made by a reputable coffee machine brand, you'll pretty quickly realize that there is a large difference in comparison to these machines that are made by companies that also make $50 toasters. Now, is that harsh? Yes, but it's also the truth. You just simply can't expect these Chinese manufactured, mass-produced appliance companies to be able to compete with a company that is dedicated to coffee and applying some experience and engineering into their machines. Now, that's not to say a machine like this can't make a good coffee, because they definitely can, otherwise nobody would own the things. My goal for this video is to honestly bring this machine up to what it really should be, or what it could be, because for $2,000 you're honestly not getting a lot of machine. Now, I will admit, when I received this machine, it was in very, very poor health, and it was actually beyond a feasible repair for the person that owned this machine previously. So we actually upgraded her to a Gaggia and a Eureka combo, which was about $1,500, including some accessories. So the customer had asked me to throw this machine away, and I wasn't going to do that because for her, it just wasn't worth repairing. I had some spare parts, and I obviously wasn't going to pay my labor. So I replaced the boilers inside the machine, a lot of the components, electronics, even the motherboard was pretty much fried, and replaced this button and the screen here as well, as I had one laying around from a previous machine that another customer had asked me to throw away. So I just wanted to bring this machine up to, well, a good base to start with. Now, I could have gone ahead and just started upgrading the machine straight away, but I wanted a really good base to start with so that you guys could see what you can do to these things, but we do need to know how it starts. And in all of the tests we're going to do with this machine, we are not even going to attempt to use the onboard grinder, because to be completely honest, it is the biggest letdown of this machine. Please don't buy a machine with an inbuilt grinder. So let's make a couple of coffees and just see where it's at to start with, and then we can start talking about some upgrades. So as you can see, we got a decent espresso from what it looks like out of the Breville. So that was 21 grams in, 36 grams out, I believe, in 30 seconds. So it was a little bit low on yield for my typical recipe, but hopefully it should be a little bit sweeter, as we only extracted that sort of first 3/4 of what the coffee would be. Now, I've had this exact coffee quite a few times through a lot of machines. Let's give it a taste. So it's okay. It's definitely not a bad coffee. It's just a bit bland. Like I said, I have had this quite a few times, and it's typically quite a sweet, caramelly, milk chocolatey, typical espresso flavors. It doesn't really have that happening at the moment. It's definitely not a bad coffee. So I am working with a good quality bean here, which is going to help us a little bit, but it's definitely not the best version of this coffee I've ever had. Now, I know I could be here, make a few changes to the recipe, play with the grind setting, etc., and I would get a slightly better coffee out of it, but I don't think we're going to get an extremely good espresso out of it until we do a few upgrades. I do already have some upgrades on the way. Of course, we're going to do an IMS shower screen upgrade, and if you know much about these machines, I actually have a secondary internal shower screen, which on these ones, it is plastic, it is brittle, it is horrible, and I never reuse them when I service a machine. I only did in this case purely so I can show you guys the base, but I've got the stainless steel Sage version on the way. Now, this is definitely going to improve this machine, as I've done many of these, and it is definitely something I do. Stainless steel is much better at retaining heat inside the group head, so therefore giving you a more repeatable coffee. Now, you may be aware you can actually add some pressure control to these machines, whether it's done through a proper mod or you can do the whole dimmer switch thing, which is not too bad. It's probably not going to go down that road, but we do have a spare dial here now that we're not going to use the grinder, so we may be able to incorporate that into something. I would look at doing something like that, as I'm very much into pressure control on machines. And I definitely want to add an external temperature gauge with a proper probe somewhere, just to see if this PID is doing what it says it's doing. Now, unlike a $7,000 La Marzocco, this has a shot timer, so that's cool. Now, I'll make it very clear, I have zero romantic connection with this machine. This one is all for you guys. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What do you want me to do to this machine? What color do you want it to be? What on earth can we do to these machines? There's probably things out there that I'm not aware of. So pop some comments below. Let's make this thing stupid and as crazy as possible. But for now, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a great day and happy brewing.